30 seconds.
Chest is right. What's going on, y'all? It's at Big Games BS, brought to you by the Sports Den, brought to you by thehumidor.com. Thehumidor.com is the go-to cigar website for all your different needs. Humidors, cigars, cutters, torches, boxes. Everything is cheaper than what you would normally get, and it's just high quality. All the things that you want. And I got a better way for you to save more money. Type in Sports Den at checkout, you get 20% off. If you spend over $150, you know what you get? You get free shipping. So, like, it's just basically we're covering your taxes and giving you a little bit more of a discount as we go on through this. Inside of the world's greatest cigar lounge. Hopefully, we're going to franchise this sooner or later. It's called Goodfellas Cigar Lounge. So many things going on. And shout out to my guy, Scott. Shout out to Tracy. Tracy and Cigars are, who's part of thehumidor.com. We're in Las Vegas this past weekend. The cigar conference, a big time thing. Basically, who's who of cigar makers. You go there, you network, you meet up with people, you try to get new brands, get tastings, you get all kinds of stuff brought to you. Everybody always asks me, why don't you go to this? Or people who are in the cigar world are like, James, you should go to this. And they've been saying this to me for years. And I'm like, I know the cigars are Chris Gwaltney. Like, Gwaltney going to put me in contact with whoever I need to. And then I also got a friend named Carlos. And make sure I'm saying his name right because he's Spanish. Damn, it's messed up, ain't it? Like, oh, yeah. It's Carlos. It is Carlos. Because they all named Carlos at some point, How many y'all got any Carloses in your family? That might be the only Spanish people I know that ain't got no Carlos.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I haven't met, but yeah. So Carlos knows the Padrones because that's how he says it. He says the Padron, say it the right way, and all that stuff. So I get to change the Padrones with the Florida State. We need to start getting all kinds of positive news and information about Florida State because we are getting our asses handed to it publicly right now. If you follow recruiting and Big Three, Twitter, and stuff like that, which some of you guys care about that, some of you don't. If you're an adult over 30 years old, I'm gonna tell you that you shouldn't. Don't get caught up in it. It's fun. It's my version and why I stopped judging my sister for watching Love and Hip Hop. Everybody has their version of Love and Hip Hop. It's your Kardashians, whatever the fuck it is that you like. Mine is Big Three Twitter. It's always something. Somebody saying some shit about me that ain't true. Somebody saying something about somebody else. Somebody's mad. Apparently, there was a Spaces that had over 1,000 people, and it all came down to somebody didn't pay somebody for $100, didn't buy somebody a $100 microphone, and didn't give them a T-shirt. And now they're talking about somebody with a voice box, and the guy with a little hand. We're mad about a guy who's, whatever, man. I don't know, man. I don't get into that. You saw that we echoing, Miles?
Yeah, I fixed it.
All right, cool. See how quick that is, man? That's customer service. I haven't shared it in the other groups. So while I'm doing all of this, anybody who knows, it's not delaying time, but it's kind of just trying to get stuff going on. We've seen over and over again this Brittany Griner stuff isn't going to die. I actually had a great conversation with the attorney, Shannon Ligon, who we just had on, not last Friday, but the previous Friday. I was down in Orlando. We went and had cigars, and we linked up. It was dope. And I'm learning to not be as judgmental with people because I have, obviously, with a cigar lounge and a liquor sponsorship, I tend to be a little bit more judgmental with the way people drink. So I'm going to say this. Like, I judge people and their experiences based upon how much they got. My girl Shannon went straight college style with her margarita. She got 1,800, and I'm like, yo, a lot of bad decisions in life were made with 1,800. So, but shout out to my guy OJ while I was in Orlando. Very no related. Two former Seminoles are now in the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. Dexter Jackson, aka MVP, good friend of mine, amazing man. Was there. He got nominated from out of Quincy, Florida, and a guy that not enough people know about. And I'm going to kind of tie this in to Goodfellas because this is what we're going to do at Goodfellas. A guy, Barry Smith, aka White Lightning. I didn't give him that name. So I know a lot of y'all be getting sense because for whatever reason, white people in this climate want to be in the oppression Olympics. The world is designed for you, but you get so upset that you don't get to say anything because the world was designed. So you go and say, well, you shouldn't call it. Why does everything have to be about race? Why do we have to have this descriptor? Blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to hear that shit. The man's nickname was White Lightning. And he is absolutely amazing to talk to. Go look him up. Everybody knows about Fred Biletnikoff. Everybody knows about Peter Ward. Everybody knows about Snoop Menace. Everybody knows about all these other famous Knowles. But nobody talks about my guy. We're in the black again. Nobody talks about my guy, Barry Smith. And Barry caught his All-American year. He had 69 yards.
69 receptions. 1,200 plus yards.
When they were playing like 10 games a year. Like he was one of the best, had one of the best seasons to ever come out of Florida State. I think when he graduated, he was the all-time receptions leader. Amazing man, amazing story. And why is this important? It's because he played on the team with the original four. And I have an interview that I've done with these guys. And I'm going to go, my passion project, I am going to say it. I'm going to do it this year. I want y'all to hold me to this. I'm going to get the content. We're going to leak content as we're getting it. But I'm going to interview again Eddie McMillan individually, JT Thomas individually, Charlie Hunt individually, Charlie Hunt Sr. individually. And I'm having the damnedest time right now. He is buried remembering the fourth guy. But it's going to come to me. And I want to interview these four amazing black men who paved the way for me to be able to go to Florida State. Not JT. Yes, it was JT. JT has the most amazing story about going up against a Hispanic guy at the University of Florida, right? And we lost to Florida that year, but he whooped that guy's ass, and he was like an All-American. And they ended up playing with each other in the NFL. And he was like, dude, the story was that somebody from the KKK had put a letter in his locker saying that this white boy was going to whoop his ass and that they was going to do some shit to him after that white boy whooped his ass. So he took all of his racial frustrations out on the guy in front of him. And because a lot of this stuff, the beautiful thing about sports is the great equalizer. And this is what Barry was talking about. I'm going to give you some candid information. Barry talked about, now I will say this, Eddie, JC, Charlie, those guys probably have different experience, different perspectives from the same story. But there is a commonality. And the one thing that Barry said what made him respect these guys more, what made him love them, is because when they got in, they were all the same. They were all what he called green turds. So basically what happened was back in those days, all freshmen had the red shirt. And when you redshirted as a freshman, you wore a green jersey. And everybody had green jersey. And what the coaches would say, bring me some of those green turds over here because we need hitting dummies. So basically, they all got their asses whooped. But Barry spoke about these four men who are important to me with such reverence and such honor. And he had the best quote, and this reminded me, this is why I think he needs to speak to this generation of Knowles that don't understand what the standards are. And this goes back, I'm talking about, this is back in the 70s, early 70s. They were the class of 69. So what he said was, is that in his All-American season, I went up against Eddie McMillan and I went up against JT. Two of the best athletes, two of the best corners that you'll ever face. Who the fuck would I see on a Saturday that was better than them? See, game recognizes game. And that's really what it's all about. That's what the standard is about. This was before Florida State. This is before Bobby. This is before Florida State became what it is that we know and love today. And this is how teammates that truly care about each other speak. See, a lot of the other stuff that was going on in the world outside of that, they may not understand all that noise. But what they do understand is what happens between the white lines and the grass. And I enjoyed every second of talking to Barry. My boy OJ said you were like I'm a historian. And I don't think people really understand what that means. I love the good, the bad, and the ugly of all things history. And when I'm sitting there and I'm talking to history and I'm learning from history, I'm a kid. Comic books and history are the two things that could bring me back. Ask Miles when we're having our cigars. Miles, I'm listening to. I probably bored the shit out of him. That's probably why he starts putting his headsets in. But I listen to this thing called Biographics. This is old British white guy that just gives history lessons. I smoke a cigar. When I do my walks, when I was trying to heal from COVID, I was doing my walks. I knew I could get 4 biographics in, and that would give me an hour because they're about 15 to 20 minutes a piece. And so Barry was just giving me a history lesson on Florida State. I think hearing his perspective, other guys who have played before his perspective, and then Charlie Hunt will be here at Goodfellas. I think we're working it out. Me and Charlie Hunt Jr. played at Florida State together. And I've coached against Mr. Hunt at Episcopal High School. He's gonna come, and this weekend is the FSU Black Alumni Associations. They're having brunches all across the nation, and we're hosting one here at Goodfellas. But this year is important. It marks the 60th anniversary of integration at Florida State. So what does that mean? That means 60 years ago. It means my mother's only 60. My mother is 62. There should be 62 this year. So before my mother was born, Florida State had just allowed the first. My mother was 2 years old. When Florida State allowed their first African American to come on campus. It's still these ills that you guys wanted to disappear are still relatively new. We've come a long way, but we still got a long way to go. But they're doing an anniversary and they're doing some stuff with the Black Student Union. When I was approached, I said, "Hey man, do you know that one of the original 4 live here? We're gonna let Mr. Hunt come here. We're gonna talk stuff. We're gonna tell some stories. We're gonna do some dope shit." And I think what a great way to honor. I hope Mike Alford listens to this, or we hear this, or some of the guys on campus. This would be the year to get those 4 men back and get them to really share their story about why we love Florida State. Because if you love Florida State football, I'm sure you're like Barry Smith's a dope ass player. Might be one of my favorite now because I love a good anomaly. Because again, Barry was doing this shit when they was running the ball 40 times a game. So that's another thing. Again, that's white, black, indifferent, don't matter. That's impressive to get 69 catches in a year at 1,200 yards when you were running the ball and you knew who was getting it. He was obviously the weapon. So I really like this stuff, man. I really think we could get better if people didn't fear history as much as they really if they didn't fear history, man. Like, it is what it is. I love it. Can't wait. That's what we got going. That's what I did this weekend. I was with my boy OJ doing dope shit. Now, I'm going to have my boy CJ Wilson come on Wednesday. We were going to do it today, but I had a rough morning. If you can't hear it in my voice, people say I have a raspy voice. I don't think my voice is raspy, but it's just raspy today. Got a little chest cold. My chest is bumping. It feels like there's needles in my chest. I think I got a cold. My son and my cousin came back a couple weeks ago. They were sick, and basically everybody is bouncing around through my house right now. So I got it now. I got to get healthy before this weekend. I can't stop though. So everybody telling me to slow down. I got to raise money for this book bag drop. And then I got other events. We got a Mika Nopi 1851 event with Lonnie Pryor, Jacoby McDaniel coming up this Saturday. Leroy Smith has his banquet this Saturday. I got to speak at my high school on Saturday. I got a lot of stuff I got to accomplish, man. And I still got to raise money for these book bags. But I couldn't get here early enough, and that's why we're starting off late. It was a struggle, but I'm here. But I'm not going to bury the lead, man. It was a wild day in sports yesterday with Florida State. It's going to be better today. I think here in a little bit, we should be getting some breaking news where Lucas Simmons is going to more likely commit to Florida State. So Florida State's going to be fine with recruiting. But optically, it's not looking very good or trending in the right direction for a one Mike Norvell. And before I get into all of these things, I think a lot of you guys really, again, got to learn how to have constructive arguments in discussion and discourse, because it wouldn't be as bad. And I think the tide is going to turn, and it's going to be kind of, I'm not going to like it, because a lot of you guys who are starting to flip right now, y'all were all smiles and Hallmark cards and telling everybody that they're worried about nothing 3 years ago. When this is, and you were calling people names for no reason, you were making enemies for no reason, calling people Taggart lovers, saying if you're not a real fan, if you don't like it, why don't you go root for FAU? All kinds of dumb shit when people just had legitimate concerns. One of my legitimate concerns has always been recruiting. It's very difficult to go from a G5 level and then come here to the big boys. Recruiting is the lifeblood of football. Recruiting is a big deal in the state of Florida. One thing that my old mentor Chad Scott talked about was that there are 3 things that sell on the internet: niche porn, gambling and gambling advice, and recruiting. Those are the only things that you can charge and make a lot of money for. He's like, if you can figure out one way to combine all 3 of them, you'll become a trillionaire, because men are going to buy it. Women too, but mainly it's men. It's a bunch of old men that have never accomplished anything bragging about the exploits of young men. It's kind of weird, but it's just the way the world goes. But Florida is a weird place if you're not from here. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you have to know how to speak Florida. And Florida is a state of, there's an overall dialect, but then there's substance. The Panhandle is different than the Big Bend. The Big Bend is different than Northeast Florida. Northeast Florida is different than Central Florida, basically I-4. South Florida is Cuba. It's wild. And then there's the country. There's Polk County. There's there's Madison. There's like really big, there's places that are antebellum South. But the one thing Florida do is Florida speaks Florida. If you're not from here, you won't get it. And I think that's the real issue right now, is that Mike's not from here, and then you did not really go and recruit other pieces. Now, what do other schools can do? So, like, if you're at Memphis or if you're at somewhere else, you can get away with having one Florida guy, right? But when you're at Florida State, everybody got to be technically a Florida guy. So but the cool thing about Mike is he's never made the same mistake twice. But here's where it got really wild. And it's a lot of things to unpack in it. A lot of unprofessionalism. Not just on Florida State's side, but just in general. And maybe it was a hit piece. But it doesn't matter. What was said was said. So there's a young man, Ricks, was his last name, that was that was Florida State was trending to back in April. He said Florida State is the team to beat. The young man drops his top 10. Florida State is nowhere to be seen on that list. The University of Florida, Miami, Florida, Miami, UCF, I believe. It was about a bunch of schools that should be on the list outside of UCF, but Florida State was notably absent. And that happens. That's kind of the trend right now, and a lot of Florida State fans are getting upset because a lot of top kids in the 23 and 24 class are dropping their top 10 edits or their top fives, and we're seeing rivals in there, but we're not seeing Florida State. But what you've seen for the last 3 years, up until recently, is it looks better. It's more organized. It's just different. You've been fed this fluff, which I have told you guys is they're likable guys. This does not come from a place of hurt or hate. I gave that motherfucker a 32-ounce tomahawk steak off the love. Every time I go to Florida State, I make sure my son sees Mike Norvell, sees Coach Fuller, sees a lot of these guys. I genuinely like these guys. I actually didn't like Tag. And now there's reasons that I found out why there was some stuff with me and Tag. But the point is that I'm rooting for whoever the head coach is at my alma mater, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to help them be successful. But I still have to critique. So people have said all of these things. I'm like, well, what about it looks better? And they can't give you anything tangible. And I'm sorry, we live in a world where tangible is the way you measure things. I can't go and say, man, you know what? You know, my bank doesn't go and say, James, it looks better. You look more active. You look like you're working more, and I'm not paying my bills. I'm going to get evicted. My light's going to get turned on. Goodwill stories without any results don't do anything for anybody. But now you're starting to see the tide turn. You saw a young man, Zach Bluestein with 247. He responded, and that's the funny shit, right? Hayes Fawcett, that was a dick move. I'm not even gonna lie. Because here's where it comes down to. Hayes didn't just post his edit, because he makes the edits for these guys. He posted this, and this is probably what the young man said to him offline. This happens with a lot of us. I haven't heard from them in months. It's like they gave up or something. Nobody wants to hear that about their coaching staff giving up on recruiting the top recruits. I have a friend who works for Army marketing, and she doesn't give up. She says, we are the best. We are the bright. We are no longer option number 2. We are option 1. I'm like, motherfucker, you work for the Army. I have never, outside of these crazy-ass white boys in the Midwest that want to shoot guns, ain't nobody waking up and saying, with other options, waking up and saying, I just want to go to the Army. It's a dope thing you should, but I'm just saying the real. But when you see this, you don't want to believe that. But then Zach Bluestein goes in and does this on the bench pod where he basically dumps on and says the same thing. So my thing is this. If that's true, right, what you're saying, and I believe it, why the fuck wouldn't you say that shit before? Why do you have to wait to tell the truth when somebody else says it? I know why, because our media ain't shit. It's the same media that won't talk about my book bag drives for FSU, or will pretend like they didn't see it, but will post every other fucking little thing that they're doing, that everybody else that's a former Noel is doing, but can't talk about me because I'm in media. It's all bullshit, and this isn't picking on Zach. I think Zach does really good work, in particular with the recruiting stuff, and he's young. But my thing is now all y'all know everything when nothing has truly changed. Seminoles.com and Seminole Production is the PR arm of Florida State University. 247 is an independent outlet. War Chant is an independent outlet. Tomahawk Nation, independent outlet. No Game Day, independent. Fifth Quarter FSU, independent. It's not our job to be able to be the goodwill force and make sure we paint the best picture. You should tell the truth because the truth is what you're supposed to do. But I tell people this every year. I think Mike's going to persevere and do very well this year. But if he doesn't, you know what they're going to tell? I promise you, they're going to recycle, rehash the same goddamn articles. It looks better. We've been coached. We've been this. I've never been coached this hard before in my life. The strength and conditioning program is harder. And none of it's true. It's just different. But here's the overall overarching thing. And then why it doesn't look good. Because right now it looks like, okay, well, we had this guy that was committed. I think Jacksonville State is in his top 10. Well, we lost Travis Hunter to Deion, so why you can't lose a kid if you don't recruit him. You can't lose a kid to Deion if you don't recruit him. You can't do this if you don't do that. I got news for you guys. At the end of the day, Florida State's going to be fine. They're going to finish top 15 in recruiting, which is a really good thing. If they get Simmons today, that's an elite left tackle that's probably going to rise in the rankings. If you get if you get big baby Jordan Hall, he's a 4-star D tackle that's going to be really, really good. I'm out of Jacksonville. You're in it for Akeem Williams, who's a four top wide receiver. You're in it for a bunch of other different guys that fit your system and do what you need to do. But one of the things that I've always heard in life when I've been doing stuff is consider the source. And people always, what does that mean? What it means is consider where it comes. Hayes is a big fan of Miami. And he posted and boasted, which I think is really weird. Mario Cristobal inboxed him, said, man, you're a beast. And he posted that as a flex. Clout is the most dangerous, is been the most dangerous drug. It's not cocaine with fentanyl. Clout is the most dangerous drug because people are doing anything for clout. But you can't worry about what Hayes posts. You can't worry about what national media are doing. You control your own narrative by going out there and doing what you're supposed to do. See, feeling good because it looks better isn't going to pay any bills. It's not going to do anything for you. It's either you is or you ain't. So, I mean, just even in that, but it's multiple recruits. And really what the worst part of it is get control of your fucking locker room. I'm not going to say who the player was because I don't want people coming at the player. But, bro, you can't do that shit. You can't be like Bobby used to tell us, don't be bulletin board material. Meaning don't say nothing about other teams that other teams can put on the bulletin board and use against you to give them motivation. I've always thought that was a foolish way to like get hype, but like bitch, I'm trying to get out. Yeah, my mindset. I'm learning more. See, I've learned this. I'm the weirdo. See, when everybody else is the same and you're different, you're the weirdo. And I just have a different mindset. I enjoyed the hood. I got a ton of great stories, fascinating. Some of the best times in my life come from being in the hood. The problem is that shit is a terrifying place at the same time. I don't want to go back. My fear is I don't even need to really make any more money. The only reason I want to make more money is because I don't want to go back to the hood. Don't ever want to live there again. I want to go there and pull people up, make the hood a better place, all those different things, but but anyways, so motivation needs to come internally for it to be sustainable. So I say that to say as a player comes in and he's giving an amen circle to the fucking tweet. And that's just not what you need. And you got there's a specific news outlet that always posts pics on me for saying the standard is the standard. And the standard is the standard whether you want to live up to the standard or not. It doesn't change. I don't give a fuck how you feel about life or what you believe. It's not changing. But you got no babies, and what I mean is legacies that fathers are legends, making statements and they know it. None of them act in no way. They don't even have a semblance of what that means. A Noah legend Not at all. Another no legend is just like the bag was too high. Another no legend, shaking my fucking head. Another no legend, this that bullshit, fam. Not a no legend, but a Tallahassee legend. These coaches relying on the portal, man. It sucks. Wife of a legend, that ain't a good look. Another no player, ain't no way. Another no legend, as if we are in a position to give up on recruits. This is just from the post that I put up about it. And you can dislike me, but you can't erase the fact that this runs through my veins. I can't cheer for another team until Trey's 9. So I got 9 more years before I can cheer for another team. And what I mean by that is if Trey doesn't go to Florida State, I'm going to be a fan of whoever my son goes.
Right.
Because I'm going to root on my sons. If he chooses to go down the road. Again, I think he is. He doesn't have to, but I think he will. But my point is that I think people don't understand how hurtful that is. Because you're a part of something that was not only built, but you left a legacy in it. And I always tell people I'm very much so Isla Mae's baby. And she actually, Isla Mae in my house right now. So shout out to my grandmama right now. She's going to be spending the week with me. That's what happens when you become the patriarch. Y'all can say this world is a patriarchy, but shit, that I would much rather it be a matriarchy and they go stay with my sister. But everybody comes to my house. So it is what it is. Love it. But I used to go spend weeks with my grandmother. Now my grandmother comes to spend a week with me. It's crazy how that shit reversed. I had to wipe my grandmother's ass one time. It was crazy. She was so embarrassed. I'm like, Grandma, you wiped my ass when I was young. That's how this shit works, man. Now we got somebody to do that for her. But that's grateful that her grandson can do that for her. But my grandmother would give you the shirt off her back. But she's going to tell you how to do it so that she don't got to give you the shirt off her back. And if she has to give you the shirt off her back because you didn't do what she told you to do, or you did not ask her for help in a timely manner, you're going to hear her mouth. So I do know this. All of us Seminole, I hate when people introduce me because I don't view myself that highly. I made some good plays. Legend is a stretch. My friends are legends. Snoop will be in the hall, introduced into the Hall of Fame. Snoop Menace, fucking legend. Peter Ward. I don't even know why Pete answers my calls. That's how good Pete is. Like, it's crazy. I can call Pete, say, hey, Pete, I want to holler at you. He'd be like, hey, JC, what up, bro? And it's going to happen. Legends. Corey Simon, legend. Peter Boer, legend. James Coleman, guy.
Yeah.
Guy that scored a couple touchdowns that people can remember. But I do know this. If you're in Atlanta, and there's a kid in Atlanta that needs to be recruited, Peter Ward lives in Atlanta. Eric Moore lives in Atlanta. Alonzo Jackson lives in Atlanta. Ward Dunn got a lot of shit going on, so he's probably not going to help that much. He probably don't give a shit about this. I'm saying all that is there's a lot of guys that live in Atlanta that would love to be able to make your job easier. Gerard Ross, I believe he's being hired, so he'd probably take him off there. But I know Kevin Sullivan, who did not go to Florida State, but his children went to Florida State. Matter of fact, his daughter is still an athletic trainer at, I think, with soccer right now. But Kevin Sullivan will do whatever it takes to help you. James Coleman, I have told them, I'll go. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a true story, Miles. We may need to make this a short so that this can go viral because I want people to know this. And this isn't me picking on anybody because this guy's actually doing his job. There is kids at the high school that I coach at. You don't even believe me? That my high school's head coach is my son's godfather, and he's just like, yo, this is borderline disrespect in his eyes. But you never want a coach to say those things, especially when they have some things. They literally come to the school I coach at, and they talk to a coach who is a Miami Hurricanes fan. Grew up in Carroll City. You feel more comfortable talking to that guy? Who the fuck do you think the kids are going to talk to about Florida State? Literally, they come and they ask me, Coach, what was it like in Florida State? What is it like in Tallahassee? Do you like this coaching staff? Do you did? But you bypass me every time. You're just lucky I'm a nice guy. And I really, really like my university. And it really benefits me to see my university better. Not just from because I don't feel like talking the trash talking stuff, but just in general. Like the quarter gets more subscriptions when FSU is winning better. I can talk about FSU podcast better. It's just a bunch of, and again, I want the person who's the captain of the ship to be as successful as possible. Not a thing I won't do for a coach. But I'm saying that's like I'm not the only person with that story. There's a lot of guys that have that same story. You got to activate the troops, bro. Because they all want to be activated. And you'll be surprised what some of these old heads would do for a goddamn t-shirt or a hat. I'm like, you ain't got to pay these cats. Like, just give them some swag. And they going to tell all kinds of elite lies for you. Because we all love everything, and not just about Florida State, every aspect of the FSU campus experience, including interacting with FAMU, the Moon, Top Flight, Chubby's Chicken Fingers, Guthrie's Chicken Fingers, what was it, Baja, going to Stroger Library, studying late at night, taking Dr. Carey off some death and dying class where you basically had to, like, she takes real life situation. This motherfucker, like, she puts a day that you have to die, right? And you have to present everything, like your living will, all these different things. You have to have all your arrangements in order. Every athlete has to take it. And she gives you the most real scenario that could fucking happen. Fucked you up. Like, it was kind of like I died bench pressing. And I was like, damn, I don't necessarily want to die at this time, but like, shit. But every athlete had to take that. Every athlete had to take, even though he's dead now, Music World Cultures, and I forgot the guy's name, but he basically crafted the War Chant. No, excuse me, our fight song. And he was the original Seminole. His face was the original Seminole.
Oh, really?
And, again, having a sister that go to Florida State, my sons will more than likely go there if they're good enough and can be recruited. It's just, it's a love. Like, being at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame, there's a picture that we all took. Every Seminole, we was in that bitch deep. It's a pride that comes with it, man. We love bragging about this shit, man. We want everybody we want these cats to be successful, man.
So is Mike Norvell really on the hot seat, or are the fans just restless?
I think it's a combination of both. And the question was, is Mike Norvell really on the hot seat, or is the fans restless, or both? So what happens is, and this isn't Mike Norvell's fault. And this is why when people say I hate Mike Norvell, this is why you just don't understand. I don't hate anybody very much so. I don't like certain situations. So 3 things happen that will go down in the annals of history as a rookie mistake of a blue blood program. Is you don't fire and hire a coach with a president that you know is about to retire in less than a year, with the interim AD, and that hasn't even been under contract for 2 years. That spells disaster. Spells disaster. So it could have been a white coach if you did this, and it would still spell disasters. To quote an AD, if you fire a coach early, all you do is set yourself up to fire the next coach early. Look at the scenario. So add to it that Taggart is African American. And the fact is this. Historically, African Americans are not allowed to fail. I want to say that's really just the big thing. It's not allowed to fail. And that's what Tag wasn't done. Now, he failed. There is no way, shape, or form around that. He failed. But sometimes it seems like other people get more chances to fail. Now, what Mike Norvell is everything historically that you like in a coach. He's young, energetic, that 90s thing that everybody said, that type A personality. He's very, very engaging. Um, he remembers things about you that can make you feel special. Probably what Bobby was like when he was that age. But I tell people, y'all got to stop comparing that man to my coach, whose grave ain't even, it's still warm. Y'all compare him to everything about Bobby Bowden except for the winning. Even so much so that they was writing fucking articles about Bobby's first season. Like, that was it. And he barely lost in the first season. And Bobby had a hellacious schedule. But I say these things to say is that fans are impatient because they were sold something that is going to get better. So the impatience is based upon what they were fed. I believe that media is more powerful than what people give credit to. People like to say they're not influenced, but there's not a person on this planet who isn't influenced by something.
Yeah.
And you're more influenced by what you see and what you feed. And what you were fed was a bunch of stuff that was very much so propaganda. I mean, there's no way to say it. Like, they're writing X's and O's things about, like, they're making up statistics. And I've told you guys that. Like, nobody really goes, and these next level stats are not for football guys. They're for a lot of you guys to feel like some of these pencil necks are doing their job better. And it's not true. A good play is a good play. Let's put it like this. A post-wheel concept with a flat is designed to have your high-low reads. Period. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, we're not going to call that play because my quarterback is 4 for 14 on passes down the field more than 30 yards. A good play is a good play. Period. If it's supposed to work, you're going to call the play that's supposed to fucking work. And if it doesn't work, you go try to find people who provide an opportunity for it to work. So I say it's a little bit of both. Mike has to have a winning season this year. But then Mike also has to count the cost, and the fans have to count the cost of what happens when you keep firing guys every 3 years. Because it doesn't look pretty. And no matter how exciting it seems that the University of Florida is right now, no matter how exciting it seems that Miami is right now, think about how many coaches Miami has had since the last national championship they won, which was 0-1, right? They had Uncle Fester. What was his name? Larry Coker. You've had Randy Shannon. You've had Al Golden. You've had, I'm missing somebody, I believe. Got to be missing somebody. Oh yeah, you had my guy from Georgia, Mark Richt. That was a Florida State guy. You've had Manny Diaz, and now you've got Mario Cristobal. So in 5 years, you've had 6 coaches. University of Florida, since I got it. So I won't even count Spurrier, but you've had Zook the Crook, you've had Urban Meyer, you've had Jim McElwain, you've had Dan Mullen, and now you've got G5 boy, whatever his name is. So you've had 5 coaches in that same span. You've had multiple coaches that got fired after 3 years. It's just not a good look, man. You can't be successful. You can't sustain that level of success by consistently getting rid of coaches. Period. Eventually somebody's got to work. Or what happens is when you have to fire that many coaches, what you have to look at is internally what's wrong. It's what men are afraid to say to women. Men too. One of the things you'll always hear from me is in my past relationships that have failed. I had a lot to do with it. I'm hard to deal with at times. I'm the common denominator, no matter what. I'm the common denominator. what about me can I fix to change and be able to help? And maybe there are some things I can't. Maybe there's some things that I need to enhance or that I need to do more. But at the core or the crux of it, something needs to change. So how do we take that and look at that into a sports perspective? What about admin needs to change in order for Florida State to be able, or Florida's or Miami's, in order for you to become good? You have to change the way you do business. You have to change the way you are perceived. There's been three organizations, three basically administrations from a coaching perspective that have come through Florida State in the last 20 years that have all said the same thing. Florida State is a Lamborghini with a Honda Accord engine. So until you change the fucking engine, you're going to always be in this circumstances. You're going to always be in this position. You got to change it. It's doing things good. I think Mike Alford is the right direction. I do believe taking the boosters and making them a little bit more aligned with the university, more like Florida has and other places have. But I think what needs to happen is fans have to come to this realization that I am going to support I support the logo regardless. Florida has generations of Bull Gators. We don't. We're still a young program. But that's how you get what you need to get. So, but I do know this. Lack of communication to recruits and losing big-time recruits, and it's from the same position group, breeds for an upgrade that needs to be happening, or accountability. You cannot have a lack of accountability. You cannot treat it like children and vegetables. Like, you got to feed it to them. And that's all I can really get into that. There's so much more stuff that I want to get into, but I don't want to have a super long show. Because the screen is down still, so I can't see. No, I'm saying I can't see the screen. I'll get into Jordan Addison on some other stuff. You know what? I may do a conglomerate of Hate O'Clock. That's what I'm going to do. Hate O'Clock brought to you by Green Acre Sporting Goods. Green Acre Sporting Goods is a go-to outdoor shop. Get everything you need. Coolers, bows and arrows, fishing equipment, bullets, AR-15s, 9mm, 380s, all these different things. Get all you need. And, hey, they're avid Florida State fans, so go support them. But they give you all the best stuff. And the cool thing about them is they're not going to let you walk in there and get something that you don't need. That's what I love about Z. If you go in there, you tell them Big Game sent you. It's all kinds of discounts that they have, and they're going to work with you. One of the things that I think a lot of you guys need is proper storage of your guns. Get you a safe, because you are responsible for that gun, and if it discharges, if you own it. And if your kid goes in there and is able to get access to your weapons without you being it, without you knowing what's going on, then that's on you. You deserve to go to jail, because there's a responsibility that comes with that gun. So things that I think everybody needs to do for the rest of 2022. Go take a concealed carry class. Green Acres offers those every day at noon. Get you a 9mm, get you a pump shotgun. Those are the best things for home defense. And then really learn about the weapon. Learn about, like, do with that stuff that, like that, oh, so this is my rifle. It is, like, basically you need to go and do shit like that, man. Again, that right now that might get you a little bit of discount. It says $6.99. It says $6.99, but if you say Big Game sent you might be able to get something better. So one that I'm not really as upset about, but I am, this is where they can really start gaining traction. The WNBA arguments, even with the Brittany Griner thing, like, stop that shit. This is why people don't like athletes. They're like $220,000. Like, it's not, no, LeBron wouldn't do this, but LeBron makes millions. Brittany only makes $220,000, so that's why she had to go. That's why she had to go over to Russia. Like, or she was only making $220,000. Like, that's a lot of money, dog. Like, I don't really know if you realize that or not. It's probably not going to get you the sympathy that you want. Also, you got to go back. Like, equality is not real. equity is, though, and the equal opportunity to make money. And what you got to do is, this is something I've always wanted to have in the argument, because I don't know, the NBA this is the 75th year of the NBA. And the only reason I know that is because they did the top 75 players, right? So it took 75 years for these players to make this kind of money. I'll really go back and say, because right now, Michael Jordan, we look at what Michael Jordan made. The real money probably, let's say, came in the 2000s. Just putting that out there. That's really when it came. Like, so really the money it's 22 years that they've been making crazy money. We just feel like Magic Johnson and those guys made a lot of money because they had access. They were seen a lot. They were celebrities. But they really weren't making that kind of money. The WNBA was founded in 1996. So what is that? We're in 2022? Sorry, forgive me for this. I got to do my math. I've run out of 26 years. So you've been playing basketball for a third. That's right? Yeah, a third of the time that the NBA has been in existence. But you want to make the money that the NBA has made. What was that? So 26 years. So the NBA, when did the NBA start? Just trying to do, and I know that the WNBA is a part of the NBA and blah, blah, blah. I get it. But just understand what you're asking for. 1946, right? So let's say, what was 26 years after 1946? Plus 26. Get the 1972. You know what happened in 1972? They got competition. The NBA had the ABA come in. The ABA was really started in the 60s. They had black players coming in and playing. It had a lot more excitement. Do you know that you used to not be able to dunk in the NBA? It's very fundamental. You know, pick and roll, shoot the mid-range jump shot. What does that sound like? Have you watched the WNBA game?
Oh, I didn't know we were going there.
You can't dunk, or not very few can dunk. Very few can do. It's very fundamental. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of greatness to that, but people love bouts of athleticism. Women love that shit. Women and this is the craziest thing that comes to me when women are making this argument. Do you understand you are the consumer that all pro sports leagues are going after? You're the reason why. And you don't buy that shit. Block shots, all these kind of different things. That's why. But I'll say this. I think the money will come as it becomes more exciting, as a better athlete is coming up there. There are girls that can dunk crazy. Like, did you see the miss on that? This wasn't, if this is what right now, if this is what the WNBA, like, I would be 100% with you. If this is what I had to watch and these guys were making millions of dollars and you were making six figures, I would say, you know what? You are right. This is terrible. These were professional athletes. If you're not, I'm telling you, if you're listening to the SoundCloud, you gotta stop. Go to the YouTube, fast forward to 53 minutes, and watch this breakdown, man.
I would kill everything.
I had a friend make an eye quote. I watched the women's flag football game on ESPN before I watched the WNBA All-Star game.
You know what? Yeah.
But you know why you'll watch the women's flag football game? You're going to see, and it's not sexist. It's all this. This is just what it is. You're going to see incredible bouts of athleticism.
Yep.
You're going to see women breaking each other's ankles. You're going to see great throws. You're going to see great catches. You're going to see things that mirror the men's game. You have to give things time. Now, what I will say, this is fucked up. Miles, go look up Summer League basketball trophies. I mean, like the ring, excuse me, Summer League basketball. Like I've never seen this before. I hate this. You should not get Summer League basketball championship rings. That's terrible. Yeah, rings. They got rings, like championship rings. It was hold on, man. It could go down. It should like I know it was on Twitter. Yeah, it says they get issued their first rings. And it was crazy because these bad boys looked like they won the NBA championship. And yeah, that's it right there, Miles. Wow. Post that. I want people to see this because this is where you could again, when I tell it's just like when I was having this argument about Deshaun Watson, because I want to get my friend on about this. People are arguing right or wrong, or opinions on what's right or wrong. I think Deshaun Watson is weirder than Halloween on the full moon on a Friday night. But what he did wasn't illegal because that's what sets precedence. And what happens when somebody says, "Oh, I had a lot of anything. I ate 72 hot dogs." That's weird too, but is that illegal? That's a tangent. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, what happens when somebody says, I did this, I did that? I don't want people. That's none of my business. If he did something really illegal, he needs to be arrested. It's not the NFL's job to legislate morality. But this is where it is. Here's where they should be arguing. That's what the Summer League basketball championship team got. That's a big ass ring for something that does not count. That's exhibition. Now, Miles, if you would please go Google what the MVP of the WNBA All-Star Games trophy looks like. And here's where I'm just like, all right, guys. This is a little bit
All-Star game?
Yeah, All-Star game. And I was like, this is just and shout out to her for picking up Brittany Griner, and that's the time when you do stuff. Because I always joke, like, if you're really mad, you should protest. But they're not. Actually, it doesn't matter which one. You can show that's not her. But the black girl, this is this white girl, right? Yeah, her. Post it. Yeah, post that. That's important. This is where you win arguments, dude. I'm like, you guys don't know how to argue properly because you have a legitimate argument. And when I tell you, I have my son's I-9 trophy is bigger than this. And it's sad because this is a professional sports league. It doesn't cost that much more money to like make this happen. Like that's where I'm kind of like, that's where I'm confused. Like, why is this even happening to this young lady? It just it is bad. So like we're gonna look at this, and Miles got this picture small, but we're gonna zoom in, and so and this is comparing apples to apples. She has a teacup. I'm a little teacup, short and stout. Tip me over and pour me out. Steph Curry has ice.
That is so.
That is messed up. Like, that is a slap in the face for this woman dedicating hours of her life to becoming great at something. I may not watch it, but I should not see that. You should at least, you should also have, so where they should be having an argument is equality to be able to make sure they put together the best product so that they can in turn, when they honor their 75th anniversary, the girls can make that kind of money. Because they don't have the same travel accommodations. But again, these are rules. Shout out to Florida State getting Lucas Simmons, by the way. There you go with recruiting. Big bump right there. Love it. Love it. But anyways, going back to what I was talking about. They can't charter planes. Now, that's rules that the women decided on, or the owners. They can't charter planes together. They can't do... It's even in basketball, like the gyms that the men's basketball tournament had versus what the women, and all the money goes in the same pot for the NCAA. So that's where you should want to be treated properly. There should be proper equity when it comes to that. So that's my 8 o'clock on that aspect. Another 8 o'clock, and then I'm going to end it with some positivity, but this isn't necessarily positive. I'm tired of you guys. You again, the media coverage for name, image, and likeness. It's still wild. Jordan Addison reportedly pissed with promises that were made. Now, On 3 is the culprit here. When somebody keeps doing shit out of pocket, you got to put them back in. Go slap the shit out of them. You don't have to slap the shit out of them physically, but like business-wise, right? Stop letting people talk to them. If you don't like what they're doing, stop doing it. So Jordan Addison is reportedly pissed with the lack of follow-through on promises. People see this tweet, right, or this headline, and are making think pieces and are saying, this is why name, image, and likeness doesn't work. This is why this, without even understanding what the article even entailed or what's going on. They said this kid decided to transfer out of Pittsburgh for name, image, and likeness stuff, and I believe that. I do believe that. This is what it's saying. It's in the article, it's unclear whether NIL played a part in Jordan's decision to play for Raleigh at Southern Cal. No details have been released about his package. There's been no indication that he has even signed a deal. This is in the article. He has not announced any partnerships. He has not posted any sort of promotional content to his social media. The kid has not said a goddamn thing, is what that article just said. However, according to Jerry Hamilton, some random ass white person on 3, he says that promises were made, and although Hamilton doesn't share what promises were made, he made a claim that how the receivers feel it. And those are the articles that go. Those are the reputables. What was said in that could be substantiated? And that's why a lot of you guys are mad about name, image, and likeness because of the headlines with articles that say absolutely nothing. Addison has been pissed in weeks because what he was promised hasn't been followed through with, according to random guy at On 3. Again, random guy at On 3 did not elaborate on what promises were made. They may not have anything to do with NIL. They might have everything to do with NIL. Hamilton did not go into detail. An article has people in an uproar that says absolutely nothing. This is why you have to control your brand, young men and women who are going to be athletes. And stop giving people who have never walked a foot in your shoes to give them so much power over who you are and what you represent. There's enough athletes that really do have or enough people who truly have your best interests in mind that they're not going to prop you up and use you as clickbait. If there is a theme throughout this entire show, it is stop letting people dictate what it is that you say about that, what it is that you stand for and represent. Jordan Addison may be mad about going there. I don't doubt that. But what I won't do is, because again, the accountability that I get held to, and I'm a low end on the totem pole guy, to what y'all hold these other people to is crazy. I write that I'm a hating ass old man. I'm just a fullback. Jerry writes that you just gave him click money and he's probably going to be able to go buy himself a car. But this is what you guys read, listen to, and makes you dictate how your feelings are on name, image, and likeness. He said absolutely not a goddamn thing in that article. And yet you guys are making entire arguments based upon a premise that has no merit and no weight behind it. Now, I'll leave you with this. And I hope that this is actually true, because I really don't care. I used to be a New York Jets fan. Zach Wilson is now one of my favorite people in the world. Zach Wilson has broken up with his longtime girlfriend. She was with him when he was shooting in the gym. But so was his mom. And apparently, Zach Wilson's mom, she's not a bad-looking woman. But typically, good-looking women hang out with other good-looking women. And Zach Wilson's ex-girlfriend is now apparently dating said guy. That was one of his good friends. And in a move that was reminiscent of American Pie, Zach Wilson banged Stifler's mom. She's leaving him because allegedly Zach Wilson banged his mom's best friend or one of his best friend's moms. And I'm sorry, I couldn't like this young man anymore now. Don't care about how many interceptions he throws. This man can survive New York. I was worried about him being a Mormon, but apparently he's well-versed in missionary. That's all he was doing, man. Bravo, Zach. And what's wild about this is and I'll leave you with this. Women, y'all keep posting and exposing your L's, thinking that this is going to make the man look bad.
Yeah, that's true.
If you would have kept this L to yourself, it probably would have looked worse on Zach. And everybody would have been like, damn, Zach, let a hot girl slip. He'll get a new one. But instead, you just made Zach Wilson the icon of an infinite amount of teenagers who thought he was going to be a lame because he's a Mormon. But one thing we know about Mormons now is that Mormons get down. I thought y'all just soaked or whatever that stupid shit. But apparently you bang moms. Apparently Zach Wilson's ex-girlfriend doesn't know there's an entire genre of porn dedicated to this kind of thing. And Zach Wilson has now become one of my top 5 favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. Not a throw, not a completion, just the way he can maneuver the pocket and be able to bang his mom's friend. It's wild because he's young enough to be able to appreciate it. Because that means she's not that old. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Even 60 today is not 60 20 years ago. Like, again, I am the same age as Carl. Well, not yet. In a few weeks, I'll be the same age as Carl Winslow from Family Matters. If you tell me I look like him, I'm going to fight your ass. 38 look like you were out the door and get ready to go to a retirement home. There are 60-year-old women that come to this cigar lounge that are bad. This woman is probably in her 40s, maybe close to 50. So I know he probably got used to that. I got the weird situations. I got hit on by one of my mom's friends a few years ago when I went to this place called the Shriners Club, and it was weird. Because, like, this woman is like, she's 49? Oh, yeah. That's crazy. Zach's mom's 49. My mom is 62, so her friends are like between 59 and 64. This woman touching on my chest because it's muscular now, and I'm just like, ma'am, this is called, this is weird. That being said, congratulations, Zach. You, sir, I wish like we had real men of genius or standard like the Miller High Life. Toast to you, brother. Man doesn't drink liquor, probably doesn't smoke because all those things are bad, but he does bang moms. So he believes in premarital sex, which is fun. One of the funny things is, again, it's always the sins that we love and adore and cherish that are cool. Like, if he banged his dad's best friend, this would not be the same. This would not be as cool. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. But, we've all had, and this is where women have to be careful. I'm gonna put this coffee down because I want you to understand. This is me loving you guys. This is going to become more common. In this world where women are skipping the men that are their age to date older men, to get old, to go back down to men that they would not date when they were that age, in an era of OnlyFans, in an era where women believe that their sexual freedom and it's their body, they can post whatever the fuck they want to post on social media. I'm here to tell you that the locker room is cruel. Little boys in middle school and high school have very active imaginations. They were already trying to bang you before they knew what you can do and what you look like with no clothes on. You're only making them want to do it even more now. And it's weird that all you guys truly like it. Because if you did, you would understand that you're putting your sons in a very precarious situation. And it's to the little boys that may listen to this. You cannot whoop the entire world's ass because your mama got a fat ass. You got to deal with it. That's her choice, bro. Women, if you love your sons, don't put your sons in a situation where they're going to have to whoop ass for you. And sons, your mom might be a whore, and we love whores. There's nothing wrong with that, man. But I'm just telling you, ladies, that coach, the stuff that happened decades before where that coach gave your son extra attention, it wasn't doing it because he just cares about kids. It was doing it because of the leggings. And all those boys saw that, and they were looking at you, talking to coach, and now they were imagining being that coach. And now Zach Wilson is giving those boys hope. The moral of the story, anything is possible when you're a first-round draft pick. See you guys in a couple of days. Make sure you check this out. Book bag drive coming up, man. Still got some more sponsors coming on. Ron Scholes, Terrence Freeman. Hopefully the city comes behind and backs it up. Great thing I love doing for the city. And appreciate the support. Check out, we have another podcast, Sporadics by Fifth Quarter, coming up, and we're going to talk about the state of FSU and a lot of different things going on. Shout out to Lucas Simmons. Welcome to the Tribe 23. See you guys later.